Hello and welcome to Self-Evident Podcast. I am officially taking over. Just kidding. Actually, Mike Sonnevelt is out in Ohio speaking, and so you got your boy Massey and your girl Cari.
I'm back.
We are here. We're in the middle of a hurricane. Can you hear that?
I don't know if you guys can hear any of this, but it is crazy here. So my wife doesn't need the headphones because she doesn't need to listen to anything. Here we are doing what we do, right? So I apologize for the delay. We were actually going to go set live, and then our garbage started to blow away. Our shed just flipped open. It was pretty intense.
I got a call from the neighbor. Your stuff's flying all over your front yard.
So can everyone hear us? Just please comment if you can hear us. If you can't, let us know. But we're excited. I'm really sorry again that we're finally live, and here we are. So
how late are we?
6 minutes. But we had a
queen is never late.
Right. So
everyone else is simply early.
Right. So guys, again, tune in. Thank you for tuning in this evening. We don't even have our producer. He's out of town. We didn't have anybody else fill in. Our other producer who usually does it is out of town. So it's us, and we are here with you. So guys, go to theselfevidenttruth.com. You guys can find out more information about what we're doing, who we are, what we do, why we do it. So here we are, excited to be with you guys. And so we've got a lot to cover here in this podcast. And here's the main question. Man, our internet is bad right now. But bear with us because, again, there's a storm going on right now. And it's pretty patchy. So, guys, the real question is, what can one person do? What can one person do? And this is something that we have had a lot of questions about. A lot of people ask us, especially, like, you know, how do we get involved? We got to do. What does it look like to get involved? You know, all these other things. And 9 out of 10 times, I'm usually saying, you know, what is it that you're passionate about? Go do that very thing that you're passionate about. If you're passionate about it, go do it. You'll see it fulfilled. And so that's exactly what happened with us. And so Massey's crackling.
Am I crackling?
Nope. Apparently I'm crackling. So give me 1 second, Cari. Why don't you take over for a minute?
Oh, nice. So we were actually going to share a little bit about how Self-Evident got started. Oh my gosh, that is some serious wind out there. But we were going to share how Self-Evident got started and kind of what we walked through. And I know Massey just said that we get a lot of questions like, what can one person do? What can we do? And it kind of started getting me to think today about where we're at in our nation. And I know that's the main reason for this podcast, of where we're at in our nation, where we want to go. But I was thinking about when we started in 2016 and how everybody was on fire and lit for fighting for our nation. And then 2016, we all know Trump got elected. So when we were before and years prior to 2016, we would travel and speak with another group into like patriot groups and Republican, Tea Party, conservative groups and churches. and getting people engaged, right? 2016 comes, and all these groups that had been started in 2008 when Obama got elected, they fought for about 8 years, 9-ish years. Then Trump got elected, and then they just fizzled out. And it was the craziest thing, right? And so I think about in terms of what can one person do, the main thing people can do is stay consistent in the battle and stay engaged in the battle. Because I think sometimes we have a victory and people kind of like dwindle out in their passion. They think, oh, we've made the victory. We've made jokes about Trump as our savior. And that is a joke and maybe a little eccentric joke, but the reality is when we started in 2016, people were lit and engaged. And then we spent the next 3 years of people kind of dwindling their fight out. And now we're back in 2021 and people are lit. And so I made a joke the last time when we were in Missouri is like, I guess the way to get people to fight for our freedoms is to elect a Democrat in office.
Seriously. And then everybody will start fighting.
Sick joke.
It is a bad, sick joke. But hey, guys, listen, I apologize for the poor quality. We won't be on here very long. Obviously, we look at our internet is probably not the best since we're in the middle of a cane. I didn't even know this was happening. What an ironic
restart or no?
No, I mean, it's the internet. There's nothing you can do. So we're just going to get through this as fast as we can because we got to hit the road. Where are we going today, babe?
We are headed to Ohio. Massey is speaking at Peace Lutheran Church tomorrow night in Canal, Winchester, Ohio. And then he's speaking at a school in Middleport on Tuesday to their middle school to high school students. And then Mike is speaking on Tuesday. And then we head up to Michigan.
So we're just going to get through this as like I said, as quick as possible. And again, we apologize for what the internet is. We can't help that. But I'm just going to start this off with this. What can one person do? I'm going to give you just a little bit of my background so you can understand that if God can use, and it's such a cliche thing, but if God uses us, he can use anybody. So guys, comment where you're from right now. Again, we apologize for what's going on here, but comment where you're from. Get on our website and go do what you got to do to help us. So I grew up in a small town called Sleepy Eye, Minnesota when I was about years old. Sleepy Eye. I grew up on the west side. And
the west side of 3,000 people.
Thugs, west side. And there was 3,000 people in the town. I was on the football team, never started. We went to state, I think, or I think the game before the state. I was pretty popular. It's not hard when your class is 62.
You live in the glory days.
You live in the glories, yes. And so I was very, very, but I didn't have any direction in life. I was not a Christian at the time. I said I was. My dad's a pastor. Was going to college to be an auto mechanic of all things. And honestly, I didn't have anything to grasp onto, so I didn't know what to do. Fast forward 3 years after my senior year, I called the Lord in for a long series of events. I actually have a testimony video, like the 9th or 10th podcast we ever did, and I did my whole story. But I cried out to God, and he saved me. And it was in the midst of almost committing suicide. So there's this kid going to college who has really no life ahead of him, crying out to God, saying, Lord, you need to save me. 4 years into my salvation, I was going into a group, or I was with a group that would go into public schools. We'd preach and play in a band. I was actually the bassist of a Christian rock band that we toured all over the country with. I was with that for 12 years. I became the lead singer about 6-7 years in. And so I was a lead singer of that. We did tons of music videos and great stuff that we did. But we kept hearing this phrase, separation of church and state. And so it really bothered me to hear that phrase. And so, we just decided to, I was crying out to God about it. Like, why are they stopping us from preaching? It didn't make any sense to me. Yeah. Not at all anyway. So after that, we had decided to kind of study this out. Like, what's going on? Well, I went to go at a store. I met this woman who had a bumper sticker on a car that said Michael Peruka, 2004 for president. And the tagline was Family Republic. And I'm like, what at? And so,
president of what?
That's exactly what I said. I said, president of what? And she goes, of America. That's what he's running for. She goes, he's running under the Constitution Party. Now, if you were like me in the early days, I only thought that was Republicans and Democrats. I had there was a Green Party, Constitution Party, any other party, Libertarian. I had no clue of that stuff. And so he came down, taught us the Constitution course, and changed my life. After that, I started teaching Constitution courses, just teaching them because it's like anybody can do that. You just follow the book, right? And you roll forward with it. Yeah. And now I think now what I'm seeing more and more of is people consistently ask us, well, you, I've heard this many times. Man, you are anointed. Man, you have a spirit of blah about you. Man, you're otherworldly. Like, golly, you are chosen. Man, you're a soldier. You're a fighter. And I'm like, I am a chubby Mexican kid from Sleepy Eye, Minnesota, that married this beautiful girl who has 3 boys, and we live in Florida. I studied the word, studied the Constitution. I got really righteously angry at being lied to, and I'm doing something about it. This one right here is the brains behind it all. I'm the one who came up with an idea of, hey, let's do this. She put it all together. So I love that I'm a visionary, but I am not a nuts and bolts type of guy. I'm very much, she'll tell you, I don't like a lot of meetings if they're unproductive. I like short meetings and decisive action.
Could this be in an email?
Huh?
Could this be in an email?
Just give me an email. I don't need to meet with people. And it's not because I hate people. I just don't like wasting time. So that's my role. That's kind of how I feel. But when I look at her, she's all about the details, nuts and bolts. It's the little things that matter to her. We started Self-Evident in 2016, at the end of 2015, with an idea just to go reach kids. That was the whole point of the ministry. We thought, let's go reach kids. And through a series of tons of events, and Cari will explain more. Here we are almost 6 years later with 3 other employees, a podcast, some curriculum now. We have our own product line. We've been going all over the country preaching, still do. We've been to so many colleges and high schools and elementary schools talking. We've been to so many churches doing this. We've gotten to preach on the Capitol steps, for crying out loud. To me, that's amazing. The U.S. Capitol steps, Washington, D.C. They invited us to speak on the steps, and I'm there. And I'm thinking, I'm just a chubby Mexican kid from Sleepy Eye, Minnesota. This is insanity to me, So, but how we started, and we'll tell you more of the fruit in a little bit, but we started with nothing.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I think we were such in the mindset of like, you just jump out and you trust God and you say yes. Like there was no other like option. And people are, when we first started, we had a number of friends, close friends, mentors say like, y'all are crazy. Like this is not how, I don't know, ministry is done.
This isn't what you do.
It's just not a wise decision. And I don't know, both of us grew up in like these crazy faith situations. I mean, more so Massey grew up in that. Like you just step out and you trust God and believe what God's called you to do. I kind of got introduced to that when I was in high school, but there was really no other option than just going with what we felt God call in our heart and put on our hearts to do. Like Massey had said, he was with another organization for a year. And we can just say it because they do great stuff, Institute on the Constitution. And we were going to slowly transition into starting Self-Evident. And they just kind of, the end of 2015 and decided that they didn't have money to pay him. And so we're like, okay, well, I guess we'll start now. But that's kind of how it started. And I actually, it's funny because most of groups like ours didn't do anything in 2020 or 2020 as far as like events. So when we're back on the road here this year and I'm reaching out to groups for Ohio, I'm going back in our calendar because that's kind of where all our records are. Go back in our calendar and look at all the groups to reach out to Ohio and just kind of see if they're still going and, connect them and say, hey, Massey and Mike are coming to speak out or speak in Ohio. I was amazed at all the doors that the Lord had opened.
I was,
because like when you're in the thick of it and you're doing events day by day and you're like scratching for every like foothold you take and every inch you gain and grow in the Lord and in ministry, it can feel like you're not doing much. But when you go back and look at all that God has done, there was so many doors that the Lord opened into crazy situations. He just mentioned speaking at the Capitol, but like speaking into public schools and a cousin. But that's kind of just how we started, is just taking a leap of faith and stepping out, and which can seem scary because it was super scary. But I mean, that's where we're at, and we're at going on 7 years now. And
I'm realizing, folks, that we are very pixelated, very choppy. I just got a text. So this podcast right now is super pointless. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to end the podcast. I hope you can hear this. We're going to end the podcast and say, you know what, next week when we have better weather, we're going to come back at you with this story. And there's a reason, and I think it's apropos this is happening right now.
What does that even mean?
It's appropriate almost that because we're about to go out and speak. We're about to be in Ohio and Michigan this week. And I find it funny. We always get attacked before we leave. There's always something stupid that happens before we leave. So what I want to say with you guys is this. I know that you guys supporting Self-Evident, being a part of who we are and what we do is amazing. And we love you guys for it. We really do. There's nothing else that we love more than to seeing everybody be a part of this and smile and do this. But we need your help. We need your guys' prayers right now because we're about to go out and do this big time. And so others are watching, but we're just going to leave this at here because, again, the storm is really keeping our internet bad. What we want to do is prepare for next week. When we come back, we're going to be talking about this because it's all about what you can do through the power of God. And I never thought we would use our story as a testimony. I just never thought our story would be a testimony. I never thought we would do any of this, but I'm excited for what's coming. I'm excited for what God is doing. I think we're the right people. We're all of you watching and more are the right people for the right time. And that's why you're here. If you want to end this out so I can end us out.
Oh, me? Oh. That's it. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next week. If you want to head to our website, it's theselfevidenttruth.com. You can check us out, donate, sign up for monthly support. Our clothing line is on there too, but our clothing line is also on 776truth.store. Ooh, bam. Yep, all the places, all the things. Yep. So yeah, and stay connected and kind of see and where we're at and what we're doing. We're headed to Texas in July, to California and Ohio again in August. So it's gonna be fun. Gonna be epic. Y'all. Amen. Appreciate it. Love you guys. Bye.